the second step, per our quick start guide, is to attach, as you probably guessed, this external power supply to the camera itself. So the first thing that we're going to do is to attach it to the camera, and this is on this back port here. So we're going to insert that like so. Then, of course, we're going to go attach this to the wall connector. Generally not a good idea to do this blind. Try not to knock over anything in the process. And you'll note that once you have power to the unit, these blue lights here will start to come on. I'll move the unit a little closer here for inspection. Okay, so you have a couple of blue lights and they're starting to blink. One says reset. The second one here says WPS, which would be wireless protected setup. One thing that I think is also particularly cool about this unit, and it'll show up quite a bit brighter in the webcam than it will to the human eye, is that you have these red / infrared lights surrounding the lens. And of course these are what facilitate the night vision. They shine from the camera, bounce off a dark object, and that reflected infrared light is what gets recorded. So when the unit is powered up, you may see these. Also, there's a green light here that indicates that the unit is powered. Now, per the quick start guide, step 3 is to insert the driver CD into the CD-ROM tray. Again, if you're running with a Mac, you'll want to do things a little bit differently. It's not documented in the quick start guide exactly how to do that, although as noted on the box, you will essentially download the drivers rather than inserting the CD. Once the CD-ROM has been loaded, a quick start may run. If not, what you're going to do is you're going to run the autorun.exe program on the CD. In Windows 7, you can do that by going to Start, by going to Computer, finding your CD-ROM drive. For many people, it's going to be D. In my case, it's actually E. I'm going to allow it to run. And as you can see here, we have the D-Link Setup Wizard. We'll go ahead and open that up. Okay, we will go ahead and hit Start after selecting our language. And right now it is installing ActiveX controls. Those are controls that will be used by Internet Explorer to show the video. For many browsers, excluding IE, those ActiveX controls are not strictly necessary. Now, our router actually happens to have a Wi-Fi protected setup button. If you can see here, it's this round button here, and as the prompt suggests, we're going to go ahead and hit yes, click next. Okay, we've already attached the power adapter. And what we're going to do is go ahead and press and hold the WPS button here for 6 seconds. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000. Okay, and after we've held it, the blue lights will start to blink. Within 1 minute, we will hit the WPS button here. And this should go blue as soon as a connection has been established. And you can see we have a connection now. We're going to go ahead and allow access through the firewall. And it's asking, is the LED on the camera green? It is. And it does a network auto discovery routine. It finds our camera and it assigns it, or actually the router has already assigned it an IP address. That's the .71. We'll go ahead and click next. We're going to go ahead and set an admin password. Now, from reading online, you want to make sure that you don't use an ID or a password that is related to another account. So don't use your email address and don't use your email password here. The reason why is because the camera here, at least when it's talking within the network, is going to be passing your credentials in plain text. So don't use your email password. Don't use anything that might expose other sensitive information. I'm going to go ahead and make the, let's see, password, just camera with a 4 instead of an A. There, we have a password that's not necessarily easily guessable, but at the same time isn't going to expose any of our other passwords. We'll go ahead and hit next. It's going to go ahead and make sure that there's an internet connection here with our UVerse, which should be good. And we're going to go ahead and sign up for a new My D-Link. Again, this is a cloud service. It, I believe, is free and allows us to see the camera from the public internet, even though our home internet here uses dynamic IP addressing. Now for this, obviously, we want to enter our correct information. This will not be exposed to anyone except for D-Link, who we would hope would be fairly trustworthy as a vendor. Go ahead and accept the terms and conditions, which you're more than welcome to read by clicking this link. Okay, need to check for verification email. Okay, as you can see here, once setup is complete, it goes to the setup is complete screen, and let's see more details, for example, the IP address, etc. there. And it'll go ahead and do this. Go ahead and activate. And that's just for all this other information is not necessary, so I didn't fill it out. So we'll go ahead and sign in here. First, this wants to update our firmware, which is pretty cool that you can do this through the portal rather than having to futz around on the back end of it. Okay, our firmware update was successful. That took about 5 minutes. Now that that's finished, we can go to the device and let's see if it works. Okay. It's going to want to install the ActiveX plugin. By the way, this is Internet Explorer 9. It's the latest version that works with Windows 7, with the exception of Internet Explorer 10, which just came out for Windows 8. Now, it's not unusual for a camera to need to install a couple different ActiveXs, perhaps one for video, one for sound. So it does ask twice, at least. Don't be surprised if that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if it asked a couple more times. Don't worry unless it is trying to install the same one over and over again. And by over and over again, if it prompts you more than about 5 times, worry. Okay, there we go. It's actually got a decent frame rate. It's advertised as being 20 frames per second at 640 by 480. I think we're currently in 320 though, which would be or CIF. Sometimes you'll hear this resolution referred to as CIF. So it has a little bit of a lag to it. Obviously we're going to want to make some configuration changes though. Let's see here. We do have a zoom, digital zoom. You can see it gets quite blocky on the CIF mode, which is the default out of the box, and that's to be expected. It's a digital and not an optical zoom. There's also a button here through the web page. And by the way, this is through the public internet. This is what you would be able to access from anywhere on the world, provided that you have the credentials. It's got a little button here for taking a still shot if you wanted to save it. Let's see. These are the settings that it allows you to adjust here. Let's see. This error is actually quite normal. It's an SSL. Warning, and you want to go ahead and hit continue. Let's see, is it admin? Camera with 4s instead of A's. Okay, so this is actually the device page. What you're seeing here is a little web page that's hosted in this unit itself. And allows you to directly manipulate the settings of the unit. So let's see here. This is what the camera is seeing right now. It's my kitchen. It looks like that's a still, not live. Probably because it's not using a plug-in. So we'll go ahead and select the Java program. There you go. And admittedly, this is not the most intuitive setup page I've ever seen. There are some changes I can make. I mean, it looks like we've got menus going up and down and all over. Let's see here. Let's look at image setup. Anti-flicker is always a good thing. Now, flip image isn't something you're going to use a lot unless you mount the camera upside down. Same thing with mirror. And hopefully we won't need to be using any of those. Go ahead and save those settings.